Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I've got to do some work on the Abarth. So, it's really kind of crazy. I've actually had this thing almost 2 years now. I bought it October of 2023. And I really haven't put that many miles on it just because I'm always driving other vehicles for the reviews, and we've got other vehicles and projects and this and that. So oftentimes this becomes like the backup car or the fun car. But, I mean, it is a fun car, but you know what I mean. So it's about to hit 29,000 miles. I bought it with 21,000 and change, and it's been a great car so far. I haven't had to do really anything aside from just some basic servicing and, of course, all of the videos that I've done on the little mods and whatnot. But today, I've actually got to fix something. So I had a check engine light pop up, and I believe it's for this emissions purge valve solenoid thing that sits behind the intake. So I've got that part to swap out. But I'm also going to be doing a bit of preventative maintenance, which also kind of doubles as a mod. Because I've got to take some of the stuff apart on top of the engine, it gives me great access to the coil packs and the spark plugs. The general consensus is that you should typically change the plugs on these cars every 30,000 miles or so, and even though I'm not quite there yet, I don't want to have to do some of this work twice. So it's a really easy thing to do anyway, so we just might as well do it. So I'm going to be changing out the spark plugs. I'm also going to be changing out the coil packs. A really common mod to do on these Abarths is switching the stock coils for Alfa Romeo 4C coils. They're a direct swap, plug and play, no modifications necessary, and they just improve general performance overall, especially when it comes to, higher performance applications, depending on if you upgrade the turbo, increase the boost, like you really want to think about going to Alfa 4C coils, and I'll explain why when I get to that point. Before I get started, a quick reminder, there's a bunch of links down in the description box below highlighting various parts that I've used in this video and some of my mods in case any of you guys are interested in learning more. If you're going to be doing any kind of work to your Fiat 500, whether it be maintenance or mods, especially on an Abarth, you can help support my channel by shopping my affiliate links where I earn some commission through 500 Madness. A big thanks to you guys who have already used those links and helped support this Abarth content. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope to continue doing more Abarth videos as time goes on. Of course, if you have any questions about anything that I've done in this video or past videos, just post them down in the comments and I'll try to get to you guys as quick as I can. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I guess the first thing I'm going to tackle is this valve. That way I can get rid of the check engine light and make sure all that stuff's good. Because it sits behind the air cleaner, I need to take off this stuff just to make access a little easier. Alright, hopefully you guys can see this okay. The valve that I'm replacing is right down in there, so just take this mess of hoses up out of the way. Kind of maybe blocks the view just a little bit. Hang on, there we go. So that fits up right there. So there are two quick connect fittings. Basically just squeeze them, pull them off. Here's the electrical connector. There's another quick connect fitting here. It actually has a little lock tab on it, so take that off. Then I can squeeze it down and it should come right off. There we go. Just takes a little pressure. I know it can be a little tricky sometimes figuring out the quick release fittings, but it really is so simple and straightforward. Like the basic ones like these and the one that was on the right side of the valve, you basically just press in on the big flat spot and it releases the holding mechanism inside so you can pull it off of the pipe. The other one that had the little red lock tab on it works pretty much the exact same way, but of course it had the lock tab on it as like an extra safety thing to not pop off. So you have to take the lock tab off, then press the big flat spot to release the inside mechanism and slide it right off the fitting. So again, it takes a second to figure out what kind of quick connect fitting that you have, but it is really, really easy. So at this point, there's basically this rubber grommet that's built into the valve that holds it onto this metal bracket on the back side of the motor. So I've got that released. I've got two more hoses. I've got a spring clamp right here and one that's just slip fitted on. So let me go ahead and get the slip fit off. There we go. And let me go get a pair of pliers or something to pull this other one off. It's always fun trying to pull the hose off that had a spring clamp on it. There we go. All right, well, that's the old valve. It's compared to the new one. New valve on the left, old one on the right. This part is not on the Madness site, but in case anybody's curious, picked it up at O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's import direct. That's the part number right there. Even though this is not boxed as Fiat or Mopar or whatever, this is in fact the exact OE part. It's made by Continental. Physically, it's exactly the same, has all of the same markings and logos and whatnot. The part numbers that are etched into the body right here and right here, they're a little bit different, so I'm assuming just over the years they've come out with maybe a better design, an updated design that superseded the original part number, but regardless, this is the exact correct OE part, so it's just a matter of simply getting it reinstalled back in place. So let's start with the two fun hoses first. This one with the spring clamp. Other rubber one. Find my pliers. Oh, right there. I swear, half the time working on cars you spend looking for stuff that is right in front of your face the entire time. I changed the angle of my light. Hopefully you guys can see this a little bit better. So I've got the two bottom hoses connected. Now this push lock fitting. Heard the click. Put this little safety lock back on. Ooh, wrong way. There we go. And then the electrical connector, which can fall down there, so if you can't find it, check the back of the engine. Alright, that's clicked on. We've just got this hose up here, so let me just slide this back on the retaining bracket. And we're pretty much good to go with the exception of that other hose. So the valve is in, last line is connected, fully seated, everything else looks really good. I've got to secure all this stuff. There's still one hose over there that I need to connect back to the air cleaner when all that gets put back in. But I'm going to go ahead and fire it up real quick. It's not going to run very long, just to make sure the check engine light goes away, and then we'll go from there. So here's our code. I'm going to go ahead and reset that, or clear the code. All right, let's fire it back up. After clearing the light, it didn't come back on when I started the car, which is definitely a plus, but it doesn't mean it's 100% fixed. I still need to drive the car for a bit, put some miles on it, and make sure the light doesn't come back on after, so many miles. So at this point, I'm going to continue on and change out the plugs and coils. Of course, the coils and plugs are just right on top there, so easy to get to. I just have to take out this other intake pipe so I can get to this last one. Probably worth pulling this PCV hose as well. go. Move all that out of the way. All of the coil plugs have these little yellow lock tabs. You have to pull them out first before you can press the tab to pull them off. If you don't, you can risk breaking the little yellow tab. Of course, as soon as I said that, one of these tabs broke. I think it had a little crack in it already. Sure, all the heat cycling doesn't fix it, but that's what part of it looks like. I'm going to pull the other one out of here just so it's, doesn't lock itself into place accidentally. To be honest, I really don't understand the point of the lock because it still has a little latch built into the connector. So when you press it on, it latches into place. It's not going to come off unless you just rip it off. But if you do that, you're probably going to break something anyway. You still have to press this, unlock it, and pull it off. So I'm sure you can buy these little locks to just slide right back in there instead of replacing the connector, but I just don't see the point. So we're just going to soldier on. There we go. Start pulling some coils. Now let's talk a little bit more as to why I'm doing the 4C coil swap, because it is one of the most common and worthwhile ignition upgrades that you can do to one of these cars, and there's some real technical benefits behind the swap. Plus, the coils are pretty affordable. The 4C coils are a slightly newer Bosch design that have a higher voltage output and a stronger, more consistent spark. The extra energy becomes especially useful if you're running a tune, more boost, colder spark plugs, or even ethanol blends, because the stock Abarth coils can sometimes weaken under those conditions and cause spark blowout. Internally, the 4C coils are built with a more robust copper winding and higher grade insulation, designed to handle the hotter, more demanding environment of the 4C's mid-engine bay. That added durability also translates to better long-term reliability in the Abarth as well, even if you don't have a fully tuned built motor. It helps prevent the cracked housings and insulation breakdown that can show up on factory coils after years of heat cycling. In day-to-day use, a lot of people have noticed smoother idle, fewer random misfire codes, and more stable combustion under load, particularly during spirited driving or track days. The best part is that it's a true plug-and-play swap. No adapters, no wiring changes, you just drop them in like stock. So even if your Abarth is completely stock, or just mildly spruced up like mine, the upgrade not only tightens up performance now, but also gives you the extra ignition headroom for future mods, all while sticking to high-quality OEM parts that was engineered for a more demanding application. Of course, you can get the OE Bosch coils through 500 Madness, but they also offer their MaxFire coils, which offer similar benefits, but the coils are red, so if you wanted a little extra color in there, you've got that option as well. Like I said, the service interval for these spark plugs is 30,000 miles, and it's definitely something that you want to adhere to. Not that they're bad plugs, they're great plugs, they're NGK laser iridiums. But with just how these motors are configured and the heat cycling and whatnot, that's just 30,000 miles is the interval. I've seen people try to push them and push them and push them and end up having a horror story where they degrade and the tips will break off and fall into the cylinder, and obviously that does all sorts of damage. So even though the plugs aren't necessarily cheap, it's certainly cheaper than engine damage. So stick to the recommended interval and you'll be all right. Everything's all wrapped up at this point. I've got my hoses all secured back in place. Just gotta finish putting everything back together. swapping over to the 4C coils is not going to make your car faster. It's not going to be like, oh, look at all this extra energy I have, woo! No. But you should notice a pretty significant difference in how the car feels. Obviously, results can vary, but even my car, with not having very many miles, I can tell a pretty significant difference. Feels smoother. It feels like it pulls better. I've even noticed that, you know, winding the car out under harder acceleration previously, that it would cut out like momentarily, like a little bit here and there. And that's what kind of prompted me to do this in the first place, just because I heard a lot of good things about the 4C coil conversion. That little hesitation that I had felt is gone. This car feels so much more ready to get up and go. And I mean, you might think it's a placebo effect and stuff, but I genuinely believe that it made a difference. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video and sharing it with you guys and, you know, spreading false information. But I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Another bit of good news, I've driven this car probably 75 odd miles so far. The engine light has not come back on, so I'm going to say that that is fixed. If for some reason it comes back on later and it's something else, I'll let you guys know in a social post or future video or something. But I'm pretty confident that was the issue. So anyway, time to head back to the shop and clean up my mess and move on to something else. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the videos a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing that as well and make sure those notifications are on. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.